I didn't feel whole. And no matter how many motorcycles and big wads of cash and all this other stuff that you would think would make a dude like me happy, there was still like something missing. I'm John. I'm not going to get a whole lot into my past, but I will say that the world that I used to live in was a very violent, alcohol and drug fueled type of world. I was not a good dude. I was not anything that resembled a good man. I moved out here from Missouri after a tornado took our house out in Missouri. We moved out to where we are now in southern Ohio. We were here for, I don't know, a year and a half or so, and then my wife had cerebral hemorrhage, which is a big bleed in the brain. One of her arteries on the right side of her brain ruptured, and blood cells will kill brain cells when they come in contact, and it pretty much destroyed the entire right side of her brain, which left her completely and totally disabled and handicapped and in need of care. Since she had not completed the entire citizenship process, she didn't qualify for any kind of benefits that a citizen would normally get once they're disabled. So her needing constant care and us having four little kids, at the time our kids were really small. My youngest kids were 4 at the time, and my medium child was 7, and my oldest I think would have been 11 when my wife went down. So that left me in kind of an oh crap situation. What am I going to do? How am I going to keep everybody, 1, together as a family, and 2, warm and fed and still moving in a positive direction? And the first couple of years honestly was really hard, and there was several times when I wanted to quit and I wanted to give up. I didn't have the knowledge that I needed in order to make everything happen, and I just didn't see how me being a regular dude was going to be able to make anything at all good happen. So I started praying a lot, and God, being the good God that He is, of course, took me in and said, "All right, man, let me show you a little something here and a little something there." And make a long story short, we're still here. We're still here. We're still warm. We're still fed. I don't want to quit. I didn't want to give in. I don't have any quit in me. I never want to give in. At the same time, I didn't want to be somebody else's dependent. I didn't want to be dependent on somebody else bringing food into the house or being able to feed and clothe my children. Bluegills and red ears is what we drag out of the strip mines. None of these are going to be, huge. Nothing to write home to mom about. But they all eat. And they taste good. The first few years that I gardened, I went out with a shovel and a hoe and a rake, and I worked my dirt by hand. I did one shovelful at a time to try to grow a garden, and my garden just looked awful. It was pathetic, man. It was not good. But the old timers saw, as they drive up and down the road, they saw me out there trying, and they started just giving me little pointers here and there. And then one day, one of them shows up with a big tiller. And man, that was the bomb right there, because that 3 days of digging all of a sudden was 25 minutes worth of and it's all done. So I got a little bit better at that. Every year it got a little bit better. Every year the dirt got a little bit better. And then I was like, well, what else can I do? And I built a chicken house, our first little chicken coop. I had a little run on it. And I got 6 Rhode Island red pullets from the feed store. And I was just sure that they would be dead within a matter of days, and it wasn't going to work out, and I'd end up with a bunch of roosters, and nothing good would happen. Well, by golly, about 6 or 7 months later, one of them laid an egg, and I was like, hell yeah, look at this, we got it, we did this. We took this space that used to have nothing but weeds in it, and now we're getting food, free. The chickens are running around eating bugs and a little bit of laying crumble here and there. And I said, man, we can add on to this. And then I met one of my buddies that lives up in Columbus who had a couple of extra rabbits that he didn't want. I said, well, I'll give it a shot. And I didn't do very well with rabbits for a while. I didn't really concentrate on it. I was just trying to take it all in, And they were San Juan rabbits, and I managed to get a few litters out of them, and we butchered them, and we really enjoyed them. And then from there, we just expanded onto the rabbitry, and now we've got lots of rabbits, and we sell rabbits. And so I was like, well, what else can we get into? So I was like, I really missed when I was a young dude. Way back in the day, I would go pheasant hunting with my uncles and my dad and stuff. And I was like, man, and those pheasants were really good. I'm like, and I don't really want to drive to the northern states anymore to walk fence rows for 3 days to shoot one. But I've got spare property out there. We could build a little pen. I bet you we can raise some pheasants. And that's what we did. Got some pheasants 3 years ago. And they started working out good. And now we've got our incubators, and we hatch out our own chicks, and we hatch out our own pheasants, and we raise them up, and we butcher them, and we use them for meat and eggs, and of course the chicken manure that comes out of the fertilizer, that comes out of the chicken house. And so I wanted to do a little bit more, and I found a dude that lives up north a little ways he had a couple of goats he wanted to get rid of. And I was, well, we got some fence. We fenced in part of the hill, turned some goats loose, and by golly, they ate up the brush, and I didn't have to swing the sickle no more. And then we added on pork chop, which is the last thing we've added on, which is our big hog. Almost bath time, huh? Yeah. Yes, she is. We've got her when she's a little bitty old thing, and now she's not a little bitty old thing anymore. She's huge, and she's definitely a breeding age. I'd say about 400, 450 pounds, somewhere around there. So we're going to try to breed her and raise some feeder pigs. And we try to share all of these things that we've been blessed with. We try to share. The elders up down the creek who shared their knowledge with me, who can no longer garden for themselves or hunt for themselves, they all still like to eat garden fresh stuff and fresh meat and stuff like that, but they just can't. They're just old. And they can't get out and do it like they used to. So I've returned the blessing by sharing with them. And I tell them it's not charity, it's just sharing, man. I wouldn't have none of this stuff if it wasn't for you guys showing me. And it really makes you feel good. And it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. We're doing it already in the first place. And slowly but surely, everything is working out to where we have taken an oh crap moment and an extreme hardship and turned it into a life. And I'm nothing special, I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm not the sharpest knife in the deck by no means. I'm about as sharp as the handle on your favorite butter knife. That's me. And I'm just a regular dude, and anybody can do what I do. Anybody can do what I have done, because all it takes is a little bit of willpower and not quit. Don't give up. And you may sweat, and you're going to cut your fingers, and you're going to get, this and that, and pull some muscles here and there. But just keep after it, don't give up. Man alive, these Triple Crown thornless blackberries are the bomb. I don't know if you can tell how big that is. And they are, what's that scientific term for them? Scrumdiddlyumptious or something like that? Think outside the box. How am I going to keep my house warm? Well, that's the problem. And any mathematician will tell you that every problem has a solution. And you just got to kind of figure out what it is and try this, and it may work. And if it doesn't, then try it. If you find something that works, then try to improve it and keep making improvements. Yeah, it's been a good life. I have no complaints, and very content and fulfilling, especially when you have coffee around. If we're out here messing around the wood pile or in the garden and we get a bee sting, something stings us, we just take this wide leaf plantain and just kind of bend it and fold it and bruise it. Squish it up like this with your fingers until you see how it's bruised and it's starting to have the stuff ooze out. And then you just take that and rub it right onto the sting, and it almost immediately stops the throbbing and the swelling and of the sting. It's wonderful, wonderful medicine. I did not do this on my own. We had family support and we had community support, and anybody who's going to try to do it on their own, good luck. It's going to be hard. I'm not saying it can't be done if they have a strong enough will and a strong enough constitution, and they're willing to do what it's going to take, which is going to be a lot. Then they could probably do it, but it would be difficult to do on your own. I think freedom is what I like most about it. I don't answer to anybody but myself. I get up when I want to get up. I go to bed when I want to go to bed. If I wake up and I'm sore and I don't feel like doing anything, then I'm not going to do anything. Uh, that's one of the great things about homesteading. You can bring on as much as you want to where you're busy every day, all day, nonstop, or you can bring on enough to where you're busy for a little while and you have some downtime. You can rest and recoup, and then you're busy again for a little while, and then you have some downtime. Because I do have downtime. I'm not gone. I'm not going from the time I get up. Some days, yes, from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, we're going. A lot of days we'll have a couple of hours where I can sit in the air conditioning through the heat of the day and kind of recoup, and or if I want to sit and play a game with my kids, or if we want to sit and whatever, run into town or something like that. We have that freedom to do that. We have the time to do that. I haven't brought enough on to where it's overwhelms me. Why do we fall down? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up. Don't be afraid. Don't live in fear. Don't if you don't have the money, don't let that stop you. Don't be afraid. Go with what you know. Have confidence in yourself. Don't be afraid to do the work and get your hands dirty and try. And because you can't not smile about it. You can't get up in the morning, look around at your kids, and everybody's happy and everybody's fed. They're warm. We've got a roof over our head. I mean, what else is there? When you really think about it, what else? Everything else is just gravy on the biscuit. This is it's how it's supposed to be.